Tumi Maswanganyi from Outsourced CFO. Today, I'm joined by Altesh Baijoo, co-founder of Insaaph Capital. Altesh, can you just give us a brief overview of who and what Insaaph Capital is?
Sure, Tumi, lovely to meet you. Lovely to have a chat with you. So what Insaaph Capital does is we are building an investment platform that's a discretionary investment platform that enables people as well as institutions to transact from an investment perspective in a lot more 21st century relevant way. And what I mean by that is we've got AI intelligence into the platform. We've got different asset classes on the platform as well that have previously been inaccessible to investors, especially retail investors. So our goal is to make investing and wealth creation very easily accessible and make the level of risk and sophistication also easily accessible to especially retail investors and independent financial advisors.
Okay, great. So my question on that is, in your journey, at which point did you decide this is the right time for us to start outsourcing financial expertise, and what made Outsourced CFO the great partner for this journey?
That's a great question. I mean, with Insaaph Capital, it's not the first time that I've interacted with Outsourced CFO. I have previous experience with Outsourced CFO in another business that I'm involved in, and the service level and the delivery is just exceptional. So we really appreciate that, especially as high growth businesses that need to move very, very fast. You want very high quality technical experience, but also speed. And Outsourced CFO has consistently delivered in that regard. So it was almost a no-brainer in terms of using Outsourced CFO for us because of the level of professionalism, the level of technical expertise. In terms of what was the timing associated with that was when we started to get ready for doing our seed round of investment. What we knew from previous experience is at that point in time, it becomes more formal in the sense that you need to put together a data room. You need to have all your T's and all your I's crossed and dotted to make sure that when you start engaging with investors, what information they require to conclude a transaction is there and available. And that's when we thought it was the good time to actually engage with Outsourced CFO, and that's exactly what they helped us with.
All right, great to hear. So you've mentioned that you work a lot with investors, and I know in that industry that you're in, there's a very complex or very procedural way of reporting. They require very specific reporting in different schedules or timelines. How would you say that our team at Also CFO has assisted you with the reporting and evolving reporting structure of the industry that you're in?
Yeah, so initially, as is pretty common with most businesses, the structure of your financial statements need to take shape and they need to represent what the core business is. We utilize blockchain. Our initial product was more crypto asset backed. So there are lots of considerations that we would need to think about in terms of revenue recognition, how to structure the financial statements appropriately. And it was very helpful to be able to have conversations with the likes of Karen, with the likes of Christian from Outsourced CFO. A lot of the thinking we had was intuitive and was in the right direction because of experience, but it was really good to be able to have a conversation to verify and validate that what the thought process that we had in terms of how to structure the financial statements, how to make it the business ready from an investment point of view, especially in terms of revenue recognition, was supported by proper accountants as opposed to us. So yes.
All right, great. Which brings me to my next question. With the reporting structure that you guys have, I know you guys have to stick to very strict deadlines. Investors need their reports on time and all of that. How would you say the team has assisted you with sticking to your tight deadlines and not worrying at any point that we might miss something, or a ball might be missed, or an investor might look for something that is not always readily available?
Yeah, so I mean, besides the investors, which are very, very important, they give you the money to help you to build the businesses, so they're super important. We're also a regulated entity, which means that we have compliance obligations towards the FSCA more broadly. So there's a lot we need to make sure that we have in place to meet those compliance obligations, both with investors as well as with the regulator. And what I found was the easiest to do is firstly understand what those requirements are for ourselves and then communicate it very clearly to put a structure together. It's like, when do we need our management accounts by? What date in the month? What information does Outsourced CFO need for us to be able to compile that? And just to make sure that there's clear engagement around what the process should ideally be like for us to basically honor the compliance obligations. Once your team understood that, it becomes almost like an automated process that runs in the background, right? So it's like, I don't have to chase and follow up. Obviously, if there's information that's required from us, we need to pass that information on duly and in a timely manner. But we don't have to chase after you guys, which is fantastic, right? Because it helps us in terms of freeing up our mind space to focus on building the business itself. And that was clear. So, it's just basically detailing what the requirements are, what the timeframes are, what the deadlines are. And once there's mutual understanding in terms of exchange information requirements, you guys deliver consistently. So I really like that.
Oh, thank you so much for that. And that brings me to my next question. Over the past year, what would you say have been the most valuable parts? That brings me to my next question. What would you say over the past years have been the most valuable parts of your partnership with Outsourced CFO?
Definitely assisting us in compiling our data room. I've got a lot of experience in terms of capital raising. I've done this a couple of times with various businesses, so know exactly what investors are looking for, especially institutional investors like VCs and growth funds and so on. They have a very specific set of requirements that they want to look at when you initially reach out to them. They have a conversation with you, but then they want to have a very independent ability to look at the business and understand and validate everything that you're saying to them, because entrepreneurs tend to sell, so they want to dumb down the selling and look at the hard data. So there's a necessary structure that needs to happen for the data rooms itself. We could have built it internally, but due to time pressure, we wanted to work with someone who we trust and can build that for us to a degree that we're comfortable opening that up to investors as and when we're ready to do that. And that's exactly what happened with Outsourced CFO. What I really appreciated was that our business is not a very easy business to understand in terms of the business model. And as a result of that, things like revenue recognition are also very complicated because it's dealing with very new areas of financial services. But the team took an immense amount of time, but the right amount of time to understand what our business is, to really interrogate and understand, the key drivers of cost, the key drivers from a revenue perspective, and then to develop a financial model and all the supporting requirements around that helped us in terms of engaging with investors.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for that. Which just brings me to another question. So, if there's a business leader out there that is at a point where you guys were a year ago, what would you say to them if they're looking to outsource some financial expertise and looking for a partner like Outsourced CFO?
I think it's valuable, number one. If you don't have internal resources that you don't have internal finance resources, and if you're trying to figure out how to do it, you may have an idea. It's always better to spend a little bit to unlock a lot. It's the investment that you invest in contracting with Outsourced CFO ends up being a fraction of what you can unlock in terms of value, especially from an investment point of view. And it's just, if you haven't done this before, it's super supportive to work with people who have done this many, many times before and then can guide you through the process. But even if you've done this 1,000 times before, there's also value in that because, you're getting technical expertise, especially on new areas of business, new areas of finance, that's supportive of what you want your objectives to be. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you so much to hear the feedback that you've said. Our team has navigated with you in the industry where it's quite new. You guys are also learning the new evolving requirements and expertise in the industry, and we're working through it with you. So great to hear that feedback. Thank you so much for joining me this day, Altesh, to just discuss Insaaph Capital's journey with Outsourced CFO. We're looking forward to many, many more years of a fruitful partnership with you guys.
Thank you, Tumi. Really appreciate it. And yeah, same. We really want to, as we scale, obviously at some points in time, we'll need to internalize resources, but it makes 100% sense to work with you guys as we scale.